Welcome to Attican Plays, Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. All right, hi, this is Attican, and welcome to this quick guide on trains and signals. We're going to talk about how to set up trains in simple ways that can work in this game and do whatever you need to do without driving yourself crazy with confused trains and trains that won't run and all that good stuff. So what you see here is an illustration of my two favorite connections that I like for this particular game. And the first thing I want to talk about is the types of trains. We have two types of trains, electric and diesel, and that has to do with what their source of power is. And by the way, I'm running everything on the hardest setting, so I'm assuming you have to have power to your buildings and you have to have fuel to your vehicles or power in the case of the electric train. And I'm showing you here the two things you need. First of all, for electric, you need an electric track and you need this electric railroad connection hooked up to a medium voltage line with power coming in so that you can power the electric track, the electrified track. For diesel, you can run a diesel on electrified track or on diesel track, track that doesn't have electricity. But you need to have in its route a diesel refueling station here that has fuel and power so that the diesel, when it needs it, can stop in here and top off and keep running. So electrified gets this, diesel gets that. The one big difference is if you have one electrified connection like this, you can have multiple. We could have a line running off, connecting off this and going over here and running around and all that, and it would still get power because it's connected back to this original powered line. Diesel, you need to have a diesel stop on every defined stop, every route. So if I had a line from here to here, there'd need to be a diesel station in here somewhere so that it could refuel. You would not want it running back here to get its fuel. So the two types of connections that work in this game are this one, which is just a straight line and a long straight line with no semaphores whatsoever. And that is basically saying, run in here, do your thing, and magically flip around and come back out the other side. Now, the other line that I like to use, the other type of junction with a station, is what I call the Mashinki technique, which is basically, I think of the track as a loop, a one-way loop. And so all the trains are going to come into the station here, loop around, and return back. And it looks like this is two-way track right here because you've got parallel track running next to each other. But it's really, I'm just thinking of this as a loop. The only exception is down here at the end, we've got this point where you go into the station. The reason being that here, of course, we can't build this track back here, so we couldn't build a loop to come back. But the reason I like the loop is, regardless of the length of your trains, they can queue up and line up to come into the station and then go back out. So that's your two basic connections. Now, why is this working? It's working because I have a semaphore right there. See how that train has stopped? That train has stopped till this train gets out of the way. Now watch, it's not going to move until we get all the way, this one gets all the way down to the station. Then it'll take off because now it's flipped the switch to say, okay, you can go. Now, obviously, we don't want it to be that inefficient. So what we can do is put another switch. We'll put another semaphore out here. Let's say we put one right here, a train length out. Notice how this guy's starting faster now. Why is that? Because when the train coming out past that semaphore right there, he cleared this block. And that's the important concept you need to understand in railroad terminology. A section of track between two signals is called a block. And that block has to be clear for a train to move. The next block, they won't move into a block if it isn't clear. So this train, both trains are seeing clear blocks now. They're both moving. They're both moving. This guy's still moving. He's still seeing a clear block. They're both looking good right now. But what will happen is if at some point they kind of catch one another, you saw it before. When the train's coming out and one's waiting here, it will wait until this train goes by the next signal that it's coming to, which then clears the block. And the block is all the track I'm trying to go into, plus this track up through here, because that's all still part of the same block. That's why we have to have this semaphore in order to clear that semaphore. So hopefully that made sense. See how he's just gone past it, so he's good to go. Now, can we run more trains? Well, absolutely. Now, how many trains can you run in a system like this? You can take the number of places the train could stop and subtract 1 from it, and that will tell you how many trains could actually run in your system. So if we set up another one, let's get another electric and run something different in them, tankers, I guess. And notice there's a length that your train can be, and your train can run mixed goods. So I could, I mean, you could have a train that's running a mixture of products. So we could throw a flat car on there or whatever, and then we can put this train on the same line. There is a copy functionality. I am not smart enough to make it work on trains. I can make it work on buses. Can't make it work on trains yet. If somebody knows how to do that, I mean really do it with a train, let me know. So I'm going to start this train on the exact same line. Now we got 3 trains running. Let's see how we're going to do with that. He's waiting because this train's got it. All right, here comes a train in. So far, so good. But notice how he's waiting. He's got a red signal right there. He's waiting on this one to clear. And why did he clear? Because there's a signal right down here. This guy's going to wait until this guy passes that signal. Now he knows that this section of track is clear and he can come into it. That block is clear. Now we're running up through here. This train is going to stop unless this one gets all the way through. He's through. Okay, now you can go. So now we've got 3 trains running on this. Can we run 4? Probably. I haven't counted the semaphores, but we know it stops there. That's 1. This is 2. This is 3. In this game, I think the signal is 4, or the station is 4. I wouldn't swear to it. Let's say it is. That's 4. This is 5. This is 6. So we could probably run like 5 trains on this, but let's just run one more just to see what happens. Let's do another diesel. By the way, I am trying to illustrate you can run both diesel and electric on the same line, provided you have obviously electric track and you have the electrified electric track and the electric connection. And then for the diesel, you just have to make sure that you have the fuel set up so it can run. If I already said that, I apologize. I can't remember. All right, so now we've got 4 on this little system. Will this work? Actually, yes, it will. See how this one stopped. Let him go. He's going. He's waiting on this one to clear. Now, when he clears this semaphore here, this guy's going to go. He's waiting. When this one clears, he's going to go. So you can see how it works. Now, would we want this many trains on this tight a line? No, of course not. It's way too crowded, way too slow. They're all waiting on each other all the time. But the point is, you can absolutely do it. Look at this. We have 4 trains running on this little tiny space here. And the reason it works is just simply that, because we've divided it up into blocks and we used our signals and to tell the trains what to do. Now, the other thing is what I do to keep it simple is I only use this type of semaphore. I only use the one, and in fact, let's just go through that. I'm going to go out here to a piece of track away from those guys and illustrate the semaphore. So let's just put down a piece of diesel track right there. Okay, so the semaphores. To make them, you click place semaphore, you go to the track where you want it, you left click, and you get this double. Now, I don't use the double. You could use it. It's meant for two-way track, but I really don't use it. This one is the one I use provided I'm wanting to go that way, up the screen. So your semaphore that the engineer, the train driver, is going to look at is the one that's just to the left of the track he's on. So he's in this block and he wants to know, is this block up here clear? And that signal says yes, it is. Now if you click it again, see how you click, you start with the double, you click it once, it moves over here, click it again, moves over to the other side, click it again, it goes back where it started, and you loop through that. So the engineer is always looking for this signal just to the left of his track to tell him about the block ahead, and he's always wanting to know, is this next block free? And then if this was a double track or what appeared to be a double track, like my looping idea, if I had signals here, I would put a signal here, but I wouldn't do this, I would do that. I would have okay, so now you're going to drive on this side, you're going to look for that signal, and you're going to go. You're going to drive on this side, you're going to look for this signal that's facing us, and you're going to go. And that's all you have to do to set signals. And I always use this on the left side single semaphore. And because, again, I'm kind of running loops, or I'm running this situation where you're going in and out. And all this is driven by the way this particular game handles the stations. It does the magic turnarounds. So you have to get, other thing I want you to understand is you've got to leave enough space here so that your longest train that's ever going to come in here can flip around and find its way back out properly, or you're going to have serious problems. Or you need to, if you're out in the field. Now we could do the same thing here, just have a long drive in up to this station and then have it just go back out. But what I really prefer are these loops so that you just keep the traffic flowing, and we don't care how many trains are piling up through here. They can still take their turn to come in and go around. Now what doesn't work at this point, or I haven't been able to make it work, is, here, let me show you. The one we all love to do, those of us who are coming over to this game from Railway Empire for sure, one of the ones we would love to do would be this guy, where we put our little diamond crossing in front of the station with the intent that they could use either platform. We would put a semaphore here to stop the train, and the trains would work. And no, right now I can't get that to work, so I don't go there. I keep it super simple. I use what I call the Mashinki method. Everything is a one-way track. Everything is a single semaphore, always on that left-hand side. Everything's as simple as I can make it. So back over here, you can see if you keep it simple, you keep your trains running. It's just that, it's as simple as that. Okay, I wanted to show you one more thing that will help you out if you have really long lines and you don't want to try to double track all the way, and that's a passing lane. So what I've got here is a fairly long line from down here out here to this export import in Karabadag. And this is fairly long. It could be way longer. I mean, we could have 3, 4, 5, 10 times longer line than this running out there. But the point is, if you're watching your money, or you just simply don't want to, or you run into maybe you've got to build an expensive bridge and you don't want to double up that bridge, expensive tunnel, you don't want to double it up. What you can do is going up to it and coming out the other side of it, you can build a passing lane. So a passing lane is basically an extra set of track. So let's build one like this. So we go out here and we're going to build a set of some track like this. So what you're doing really is building a small section of track that's double tracked for minimal expense. Now, what you do to make this work is you put a semaphore, yeah, right there, and you put one at the other end, and always use our little single semaphores. Sorry, I'm having a hard time turning around here. See how the train just went through? No problem. So so basically what we've done is set up everything else on either side is two-way track, but we now have one-way track right through here. So we've got to stop here, we've got to stop here, and what that allows us to do, and I'm going to show you one more thing you really need to do to it in this game to make it work. But let's just run another train. So I'm going to set up another train to run on the same line. Well, look, I already have one. What do you know? And it's going to run on the same line and go. Now, if you notice, I'm still using my little Machinke technique here. So all the stuff, this is one way into the depot, one way out of the depot. And I'm thinking of this track here as one way coming out of the station and coming around here. But once it gets to here, we're back to two-way track. So we're running two-way track all the way up to our passing lane. And here, I'm perfect. Thank you. It did exactly what I wanted to show you. This one comes up here, and it sees all this track. You'd think that track is open. You're going, why won't it go there? It's because it's looking at all that track up through there, plus this track going back this way. And until this train goes through that semaphore, this one isn't going to go green. The problem is, until this train goes through that semaphore, this semaphore won't go green. So what you really want to do is build a long enough passing lane that you can get an extra signal in there. Or in our case right here, what we can do simply enough is put in a semaphore one train length back like that and like that, and that way the two trains can clear each other and go ahead. So really, in this particular case, I would like to have that passing lane be a little bit longer than it was. I thought it was long enough. My oddball told me it was long enough. It wasn't. Really would like to have it so that the full train can get through there to that extra. So you really want kind of a long enough to handle two full train lengths. So let's run it on down, make it a little bit longer, like so, and put our semaphore there. Now he's stopping. This one will come up when he crosses that middle semaphore. Off he goes, off he goes. So we've got one here, we've got one there. They really are hard to see. Let's clean these up, move them into the middle. So we'll put them both right here. Let me scroll down where you can actually see it. We're going to have our left this way and our left that way. By left, I mean on the left-hand side. So now that one's working. He's coming up. Our other guy, he's stopping because there's one in this block up ahead. As soon as this one gets past the semaphore right here, the other train will take off. There we go. That's a simple passing lane. Now, you can run multiple trains like that, and they're running just fine. It's also a great way to spread them out if you do need them to spread out. And when you're hauling cargo and you decide you want two trains, that's enough to do the full load. Really, you don't need a double track. A simple passing lane like that will work beautifully, and these two will kind of tend to naturally fall into a rhythm with one another. And if you don't like this, if you feel like, well, I could get away with that, could do without that waiting, or if you're going to put more trains on it, just build another passing lane further up or further back. Either way, further up in this case would probably be better. Up in here to let them pass, and you could even eventually, over time, as you gather money, if you want to, you could double track it. You could convert all that into double track. So hopefully that passing lane will help you. But the key in this game, the one that would drive you crazy, is make sure you make it long enough for two train lengths, plus a little over two train lengths. put your semaphore at the end, the way it's going, that one right there. Then put another semaphore a train length back on both sides, and then the fourth semaphore down at the other end to work on that, and that way both sides can go, and you've got yourself a passing lane that works to handle your long lines. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Workers and Resources Soviet Republic video. Thank you.